procurement, program and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow. Using procurement, program and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. Gilbert is on his way in, but we are here now because it's time to go.
I love it. I love it.
So we are here for another week of an incredible conversation. Gilbert, you want to put your background on as and now you got to switch yourself over so you're mirror ready. There we go.
There we go.
To walk from the kitchen to the bedroom, man, is amazing.
Oh my Lord.
To your office.
My travels have been atrocious, man.
I tell you, it's right around the corner. You don't even have to go that far like you used to.
How you doing, my co-host?
I am fine, and yourself?
I am doing fine, thank you. It's how good and pleasant it is to see you again.
Yes, it is. And as they say, every day above ground is a good day.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's a good day.
Well, today we're gonna have an amazing topic, huh?
We are. You know,
2025.
Project 2025, and today we're talking about how it affects women, specifically for us as women. And a lot of our clients are women, and a lot of business owners are women. They make up a great percentage of women in the workforce. And so today I thought, and women is literally our favorite topic. That's and right. The empowerment of women is our favorite topic. So we would be remiss if we didn't do the topic on women. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Is and I've been listening to things all week on the news. There was some secret meetings that took place on how they're planning on to implement. They didn't know they were being recorded. But Trump has been trying to distance himself from Project 25 as if he had nothing to do with it, and it's such a horrific project. But this person that they were talking to actually said that he's had several meetings with him. So I guess he's more involved than he wants us to know he's involved.
Oh my Lord, this is.
I know. And then for the other side of it, some of it has already been activated. The Roe versus Wade is actually part of Project 2025 Right. They just rolled it out, and it's the language is verbatim to the chapter that's dedicated to abortions. And so some of it's already been taking place, some already been put in place by individuals that were part of Trump's administration when he was in office in 2016.
So this is part 2 of that. They did part 1 when he was in office. They're going to do part 2 now, right?
They were kind of fumbling. They didn't have all of the dots they didn't have all of the markers on the map to go forward. But now they got all the markers, and the whole entire map is like Google and what's the other one? Wave 2.0 or 5.0. So everything is now the way they would like it have it. So anyway, so for us, we just have to have this conversation and make sure we're well aware of what's going on. And so a lot of our topics today is going to be that women have been fighting for civil rights since the beginning of this country. And we will continue to fight. So I don't know how they thought that we were going to go quietly. I don't know. Do you know any women that go away quietly when you're trying to back them into a corner? I don't. I know I'm not one of those women.
Whoever is trying that, they probably never met a woman, right?
or a minority woman, because I don't think we don't rock like that. Or as I heard a child on TikTok to say, we don't play games like that. So how was your week before we get into our conversation, which is I'm excited about it.
Yes.
So how was your week?
Well, what I did this week, I was working with my Texas client. That's one of the they said you got to have an 80-20 system set up in your organization with regard to your clients, right? So some clients are going to fall into 20%ers, some going to fall into the 80%ers. Now, the 20%ers are usually the ones who, they need a little extra hand-holding or a little more guidance along the way. 80%ers are the ones who are in automatic mode. You get to do things. You have your automatic payment set up, your system set up. They follow you. They're coachable. But the 20%ers are the ones who, man, they take it to the ends of the earth. so this one, man, whoo, they don't listen. They don't take instructions. They do the opposite of what I guided them to do. So they end up being assessed fines and penalties and all of that, and then now I got to step in and try to intervene and say, yeah, they did break the rules, but, please do not penalize them to the maximum.
Oh, that makes it fun.
Yeah, I'm tired of it, man. They just need to follow the rules, and so I can spend more time, dealing with more of the 80%ers.
or get out of that space.
Or get out of that space.
Or get out of the space. They got a choice. We always have choice in business.
Yeah.
So is of your doing.
Oh man!
You just have to decide what that looks like. That's all.
I'll tell you. So that's what I've been challenging and dealing with, all of this week. And then there's some other clients. I was able to facilitate some workshops for them, some contract readiness workshops. So that was great. I was able to give them a checklist of documents that they need in order to be contract ready. Took them to some websites and show them a list of the contracting officers, their contact information, how they can go about setting up meetings with those guys. So that was a good thing. I love doing that kind of stuff, helping small businesses, man, to get to next level and gaining some increased revenues. How about you? Well, what were you doing?
Actually, my week has been pretty calm. It's like I'm finally settling in post biz camp. So first week was intense. Second week, which I guess was last week, was getting close to breathing. But this week I've had breathers. I've only had a couple of clients, all after 12 o'clock. My evenings, I don't think I've had no evening classes. So this has been a good week. I feel like I'm almost human.
I hear that, man. Isn't that a good feeling, man? That's a great feeling.
That's a great feeling. In fact, I even got to go out to the bank the other day. There are times that I don't get to leave the house at all. I mean, I'm here until I go out to water aerobics in the evening. So I feel kind of like, wow, this is what it's like to be free in your own business.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
So it was a pretty good week. Yesterday, I went to Bonnie over at the Los Angeles Urban League. She is retiring. So yesterday was her office retirement party.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so they surprised her, and so she's been with the Urban League for 35 years.
All right, man.
And so now the Urban League has a whole new, there is no one, everyone else is new leaguers. She's the last person that was in that office that had full knowledge
She is
of,
she is the last of the institutional uh,
yeah, she has all the history and
configuration.
she has all the history.
Oh,
So that was
man.
nice, and that was a surprise. We went over to Doolin's, and so that just it was the immediate staffers and some of the contractors. Two of us were contractors, and so that was pretty cool.
Did you go to Doolin's, a new facility or the existing one?
The new one that he just finished with the back area. You know, we had an event there.
Did you take some pictures? Because I've never seen that facility.
Oh, well, yeah, because he just opened it up in February. So now, you know how it used to be, you came in the front door and the area to, which is still the case, the area where you order your food, but the food is, I don't know if it's out anymore. I don't think it's out anymore. I
Oh,
think it's just the menu. And then you go down and you can go to the back where they have a patio and you can actually rent that space now. Yeah, so that's pretty nice. For so yeah, so you know, I think he's done a lot with
yeah.
that location. So you could have any type of event there. But
Maybe
it
we
is
should try to get him
outdoors.
on the business zone as a guest so he can talk about local businesses.
Yeah, we can. I can do that. He's in and out of town a lot. But yeah, I will reach out to him. And I will reach out to him right now. I believe he's in Seattle.
Yeah. I
And
think that
I
would be
will.
good, man, because he's one of those businesses that's been around here for multiple years. And you know, we want to promote and celebrate those businesses, man. We want to promote.
Yeah, the other person that I want to have and talk about this is especially as we lead up to the up to the Olympics, is Jeanette from 27th Street
Oh,
Bakery.
oh yes, yes, yes. She's
Because
an
I don't know if you're aware of this, but Jeanette is actually an Olympic medalist.
yes, she is. Yes,
Uh
she
huh.
was a sprinter, I believe. I think she was a sprinter.
She got a medal in the 400 relay, and she also something else. But I was telling her uh this is a great time for her to really promote that part of who she is, because she could be part of the 2028 28 Olympics.
Olympics, right, right.
You look and see, and especially it's going to be back here in Los Angeles, and
Yeah.
she got her medal when she was in 84. So it
Wow.
was, yeah. So
So
that would,
she got it when the Olympics was at USC over there, that area, right? Coliseum.
yes, at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So I told her. So I sent her over a whole. She goes, "Whoa, this is a lot," but I sent her out over a whole itinerary of what she could do in order to be ready for this
But she
Olympics.
can and cannot do.
Yes, and I told her, I mean, and not only that, she also taught track over at she taught track at
At USC.
UCLA. UCLA. Yeah. She was an Olympic coach.
That's great, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I like that.
so she's got it. When she just wasn't just a sprinter, she actually coached a couple of athletes too, and she was the Olympic coach later on in life. So that's really where we definitely will have her on to talk about that and her business and just
One of our own.
one of our own. I mean, how many people can say that? I told her, go Google yourself. You would be
Yeah.
amazed. You are a celebrity. She goes, what? I said, go Google yourself. And because it was the Olympics when we were having this conversation, it was popping up all over the internet talking
Oh,
about
that's
her
great.
and her
That's great.
accomplishments, and both during the Olympics and when she was a coach as well. She goes, "Oh my goodness!"
She couldn't believe it, huh?
And all the pictures that was it the Getty
Yeah.
has, but she has to pay for her own pictures.
Oh, wow. You
So I
know,
told her,
that happened to me before. I wrote an article when I was at VEDC in the Valley, right?
mhm.
Running their procurement program. I wrote an article about procurement government contracts, and some organization somehow they clipped that article, they claimed the article, they put it in some publication, and I had to pay for it. I had to pay for my own article that I wrote. I could not believe it.
Well,
So
that's
I
wish.
guess there's a rule that if you wrote a document and then you post it publicly and someone clips it and then repost it or whatever, I guess you now have to operate under their policies and procedures, their what do you call it, copywriting policies. So it was just unbelievable.
So even you.
Even me. Oh man, I couldn't believe it, co-host. I could not believe
Well,
it.
that's what she discovered as well. So live and learn, huh?
Yeah.
I guess maybe you should have at that point, if you had known who that was. You're like, hey, can I get a copy of it before it actually gets to your office? So I want to pay for it.
Well, see, I didn't even know that they were gonna regenerate it. It was just I just saw it and I said, wait a second, this is my article. So I went to go get a copy of it. They go, you gotta pay. I don't remember how much they were trying to charge me. You gotta pay like everybody else. I said, that's my article. Not anymore.
So do you have to copyright something like that?
Yes, you have to copyright it, the material that you're writing, and you put it out there, especially if you've done your own research and you coin it your own way. The only way for it to become yours, because when you do research, it's like general information, so anybody can use that research data. But if you coin it and present it in a certain format, now it's yours. Okay.
Right.
Providing you cited those sources.
Right.
And these guys took my material.
Oh man, so they cited you, but it became theirs. So, well, that's a lesson learned. All of you coaches and presenters and educators out there,
Yeah.
make sure you get your stuff copywritten, so you won't have to pay for your own stuff down the line.
It was in the San Fernando Valley. So there is an organization there that did that. And man, I'm telling you, I
Wow.
was so shocked.
Wow. Well, okay then. Now we know.
Now we know.
Yeah. When people start, and then people, you never know who's in the audience, right?
Exactly. So that's why we want to always, man, have our head on the swivel. Every time we want to know what's going on, who is in the room. It's always good to know who's in the
Who's
room.
in the room. Always good to know.
Yeah, because if you don't know
true.
who's in the room, and some of those people are your ops, and then they come in, take your data, your information, and go duplicate it somewhere else, and you don't have it protected, then man, you're on your own. I couldn't believe it, co-host. I was picking up a storm and said, "This is illegal." And I think someone at the San Fernando Valley Business Journal, I believe they said, it's not illegal, it's not uncommon. Let me explain to you how this works.
Oh, wow.
Because that's where I publish it first, in the San Fernando Valley Business Journal. Right?
Oh, okay. So
all of a sudden, man.
Well, there you have
they say, when you're growing up and you're doing something wrong, or you're planning on doing something wrong, and your mom said, you're gonna learn today. Well, I learned today.
Well, that's a lesson that you can pass on to our listeners and to our business community. And we're always right. And today content is so valuable
Yeah.
for every business. Everything that, all our expertise in the areas that we are skillful in, we're passing that information on. Even when you're publishing things in LinkedIn and you're publishing things on Facebook, if this is coming from your arsenal of information,
Yeah, that's true.
then just know that that you might need to, depending on what you're sharing,
Yeah.
and if there's any proprietary information that you actually are sharing with the public, you might want to think about that a couple times before you actually post that. So
I think this makes a great segue into the next segment of our show, co-host. Women won't go back to 1776. So back in 1776, when a woman was empowered enough to publish something, they could do whatever they want to do. But today, there are laws and rules that protect some of what women are put out there and present in the form of art and content.
or everything, because back in 1776. So so here's a couple of startling facts that I discovered getting prepared for this conversation we're going to have today.
Yeah.
Women have been fighting for their civil rights, their freedom, for 255 years. That's
255.
255. So as long as Black folks have been fighting, actually, to be quite honest, well, we are a little bit longer, but yeah. So women and it in my research, I was looking at how the very first woman, or one of the very first women, was doing in 1776, when the Declaration of Independence was being argued over by the representatives, and we already know that there was a compromise that was being made for Black people, but as well was there were some compromises being made for women, right? And so Abigail Adams, and I don't know, some of this history we should have learned in history, because this was the founding fathers. She was married to John Adams, and he was one of the signers and part of that team of representatives that was actually going to sign the Declaration of Independence. So one of the things that Abigail Adams did, she wrote to her husband in to tell him, he was in Philadelphia and they were going through this, July 1st through the 3rd, because that's when this all went down. And she wrote to him and she says, "Remember the ladies, be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. Do not put such unlimited power into the hands of the husbands." That was her statement to him. And then she came back and she made another statement. And this is a famous quote. And I put this on our Facebook page. But a famous quote from her was, let me get to it, was, besides "remember the ladies," her famous quote was, if, and I have it scrolling on the bottom actually, "if particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion, and we will not hold ourselves bound by any laws if we have no voice and no representation." Wow. And this was from Abigail Adams.
That is deep.
Right. So fast forward to 2024, and this document called Project 25. Yes. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It's a very controversial document. It's about 900 and something pages, and I think it was 900 and something pages purposely to keep you from reading it.
No, people won't read it.
Right, exactly. So what we're wanting to discover today, or uncover today, Are the initiatives under Project 25 inadvertently putting women at risk? I pulled some data, pulled some information from some of the experts that are out there to reveal some very scary truths that might be hiding in plain sight for us, from policy changes to the societal impacts. We want to just kind of dissect that and have a long conversation about that. So one of the things that we all know that's going on and was a major impact was the elimination of Roe versus Wade, where it really the reversal of that, where it has taken some major freedoms from us as women and putting us under a platform where we're going to be scrutinized by men. And there was a word that I learned today. One of the experts said that Project 25 has the potential to create a digital, and it's called a panopticon, panopticon, I think it's called.
P-A-N-O what?
Oh, panopticon. Panopticon. That's what it is. Where women are going to be constantly watched and judged, and any deviation from societal norms is going to be punitive towards them. Meaning
is that realistic though?
Well,
realistic.
It's not realistic, but we don't know to the extent that they're willing to go.
So they're going to try to put something in place that states that women are going to be under the microscope. They're going to be watching their every move. Man, we're in a relationship with women right now. We don't even know where the heck they are. How are we going to do that? On a weekend, we don't know where your woman is. So how are you going to do that? That makes no sense. They're
overreaching. But here's the thing: I've watched only a couple episodes, but have you watched any of the episodes of Handmaid's Tale?
No, I haven't seen any of that.
So Handmaid's Tale is kind of this dystopia type of environment where women are kept under top scrutiny from men. They're selected to be with certain men, and every movement that they make is going to be recorded. So if women go to the doctor for whatever the reason, they're going to be scrutinized. If women are having relationships that they're not married, then that's going to be scrutinized. So the people
who's coming up with this bogus concept? Okay? Man, we've been in relationships with women for so long. A lot of us don't even know what our women are doing. How the hell they're going to be monitoring and watching them like that?
That's the plan, is to watch every movement that a woman has. Women, you remember back in the prehistoric times, women had to be in the company of men or elderly women, and they weren't allowed in rooms with men by themselves. They definitely weren't allowed to go on dates that were not chaperoned. They certainly could not have a premarital sex. And a lot of this comes from England. When England, they would actually, if you were a maiden and you were getting married, then everyone would, on the marital night, on the wedding night, everyone would come in to make sure that the woman was a virgin.
You know what I think, co-host? I think somebody, on TikTok and YouTube and all of that, when people want views and clicks, they come up with some controversial topic that people will go to just to see who's the idiot that brought it up in the first place. I think that's what this is, man, because they know this cannot be put in place. Even if some men want it to be put in place, it's not going to happen. It would never happen. You know,
Well, I don't know. Let's look at, so the impact could be pretty drastic for a woman. Obviously, just like you're saying, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But what they're looking for is to have a predominantly male workforce, women only in servant type of positions, but with the permission of men. So I'm going to pop up, just for the sake of the start of the conversation, what this really looks like far as the women's freedom, right? So let me skip by that one. So here is a timeline of how women have, and this is just some of the things that were going on. So in 1776, Abigail Adams, which we just recited, she was defending women's rights during the American Revolution. So that was in the 1700s. That's when America had received its freedom from under the rule of Great Britain. 17 the colonies 1769.
Okay.
The colonies adopted the English system, decreeing that women could not own their own property in their names or keep the earnings that they were making. They had to turn their earnings over to their husbands or their fathers. Now, it seems completely, what is the word? It seems like this could not possibly take place in this day and age, right?
Mm-hmm.
But however, you do know that this is taking place in Iran and Iraq and in any of the Saudi Arabian countries, because they have Sharia law.
Yeah.
And women are actually the property of their husbands. So that's really what we're talking about, creating Sharia law here in the United States. That's what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1777 or 77, all states passed laws removing women's right to vote.
Mm-hmm.
In 1809, Mary Keyes became the first woman to receive a patent. She lost it not too long after. In 1839, Mississippi granted women the right to hold property in their names, but it had to be with the permission of their husbands. In 1869, there was a woman that was granted the admission to practice law. She was the first woman attorney. In 1872, now women are fighting behind the scenes here. I don't know what powers they're using. I think I do know what powers they're using, but they are making some headway. So in 1872, the first woman president became a presidential candidate in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Women also in that same year, federal employees, women, were granted equal pay for equal work. Susan B. Anthony was the first woman to vote, and she was convicted of unlawful voting. So we see what's happening in the voting world with the minorities today. So we can see them trying to revert back to a certain way. In 1873, the Supreme Court came back and ruled that married women, could not practice law. So that probably revoked Mary Keyes' ability, or not Mary Keyes, Arabella, from practicing law. So they took that away from her.
That is deep.
In 1887, there was a woman that became the first woman elected mayor of Kansas. In 1890, Wyoming grants women the right to vote in all elections. By 1900, there was a legislation passed, married women to keep the right to get, again. So if this came back, every state finally passed a legislation granting women the right to keep their wages and own their own property. 1900s, there was the very first woman that was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. Now, it's my understanding that Jasmine Crockett is the third woman to be elected in the House of Representatives. I think that's where she is, the House of Representatives,
Yeah.
Congress, one of the ones, but she's number 3. In 1918, the very first birth control clinic was created for health purposes. In 1920, the 19th Amendment was ratified to give women the right to have, all women the right to vote. And in 23, the very first version of the Equal Rights Amendment was introduced, giving men and women to have equal rights.
Yeah.
In 32, the first woman was elected to the U.S. Senate. And then in 1960, we had the equal pay, equality pay for the same work, the Civil Rights Act preventing sexual discrimination. And President Johnson actually signed an executive order forbidding discrimination by government contracts and affirming affirmative action hiring women. And then in that same year, California adopted the no fault law. So that's just some of the laws that I was able to find. But basically, in the 1950s, women were not allowed to make contracts or wills. They could not buy or sell property, had little control of their earnings in most situations, and was discouraged from acting politically, such as holding an office. Even though they could vote, women's rights were minimal. And that literally is where they're trying to go back to.
This is some good data, co-host. Good data,
and it
man.
Seems that, and I hear what you're saying, that how in the world could they possibly be back at the same place? That's what you're asking, right?
Exactly.
But for whatever the reason, the Project 25 and white men in this country have decided that women need to be back under their control.
That is crazy.
So it is. But it is a comprehensive blueprint developed by a very conservative group of people. It's really about power. It's not about them. It's definitely not about democracy. It's about having power over all of the people and giving them complete power to control all of us. So I didn't isolate it to us as Black people because, you know, what do they say? If white America has a cold, then we got like bubonic plague or something, right? So the same thing is going to take place for us, but of course, the devastation and the impact for us is going to be really much more profound.
Damaging.
Yeah, and more damaging. So I know it seems really crazy. Gilbert, as a man, I know you're like, wait a minute, how in the world can you control women like this?
I know. That's just that just seems like an impossible task, man. Folks, I wanted to first to say I am not a part of this initiative. Do not come and get me, because
it's not you.
Man, this is crazy.
It's the conservative. So some of the key aspects that I found, and so you can attest to this, reproduction health, meaning that they want to control our access to contraceptions, and they want to control the funding for abortions. And principally, the reason behind that is they want women to have babies.
Right.
At the way they want to dictate when women have babies. That's what they want to do. Women can't make a decision on their own. Whether they want to have children or they don't want to have children, they want to control that. I've even heard through some of the people, you know, really going into detail. I think Joy Reid from MSNBC, you have to report when you have your period.
What?
Yep.
Which organization is that?
That's the Project 25 peoples.
So I'm looking at a part of the Project 25 here. you
Uh-huh.
know, and you know, the first thing they do is they try to make it as generic as possible, so you don't get to dig into certain areas. But this is crazy. And, you know, they've got 3 areas here under key aspects. They're talking about reproductive health, gender equality, and workplace protections. So the workplace protection would be more leaning towards some of the things that I'm getting ready to say.
Yeah.
Now, we know this from our research and from conducting business in this county that, you know, women entrepreneurs, women who own small businesses, they're about 20% of small employer businesses in the US. We know that because we
Right.
see these numbers flow on our desk at all times. However, even with that, when it comes to government contract and government contracting goals, women-owned businesses is just 5% of that type of procurement. 5%. Now, they've kind of increased the numbers since the last time, right? Because the last time they had, you know, 4% or less, now they have 5%, which is still minuscule. So these are some of the numbers we need to start looking at if we're going to promote economic development in areas, which means that these women entrepreneurs can start hiring more people. They hire more people, then they're feeding more families, and communities will tend to strive a little better.
Right.
Because, you know, people don't have to try to steal from others. So I just don't get this, because in order for an economy to grow, you have to empower the people. You have to provide them resources, access to resources, and also, you know, to help them to stay above the poverty line. So I just don't get this at all. Okay.
It really doesn't make any sense, because, like you're saying, because the other aspect is gender equality. So if you all of a sudden want, how can so here's the biggest question: how in 2024, based upon what the economy looks like today, and let's say just of the women-owned businesses in the United States, just the United States, we're not looking anywhere else.
Yeah.
42% of women represent 42% of all U.S. businesses. That's over 13 million women.
Wow.
So what are you going to do? Extract out or not provide lending opportunities, don't provide any training opportunities? Yeah. How do you all of a sudden make 13 million women disappear from the work from the business space? And then the question is, and I'm sure this is the question of an economist, then what happens to the economy?
Exactly.
Right? If you're extracting, because the statistics say that those businesses, the 42% of the U.S. businesses that are owned by women, they employ more than 10 million people, and they generate $1.9 trillion in revenue. So do we extract $1.9 trillion out of the marketplace?
That's crazy. They're not going to do that.
How is that possible? And why would you want that?
Yeah, that's crazy, man. You know, these numbers that I just quoted to you about that 20% and all of that, you know, this system, this reporting system was established back in 2000. Back in 1994. 1994 is when the system was created, so that they're saying, you know, we want to show that women-owned businesses or women-owned employers are geared towards helping other needy folks, and then they help to build the economy. But the economy is not close to where it needs to be in order to survive yet. It's not there yet.
Right.
You know? And they're saying that since this proclamation was made, and it's a bipartisan policy center report that I'm reading from here.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying since that only twice were they able to meet that 5% goal for the women entrepreneurs. And that was done in 2015 and 2019. And since that, it's just back to business as usual.
So what do you think is the deterrent from women not having a larger percentage in the contractual? Is it, again, following in line with this?
Well,
with
it's
Project
part
24?
it's part of the concept involved in the Project 2025. It's also part of what's been holding back women businesses in the marketplace all these years. They don't take women seriously. They don't trust women. And the third reason that I'm going to give is like an outside of the box reasoning, which is way out there. And some people, I'm sure some of the viewers who are viewing us right now may disagree. But you know how the marriage statistic states that more than 50% of marriages end in divorce, and more than 80% of those divorces are filed by women. That means women decide to walk away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the concept is that women, they don't commit very well. They don't like to commit. So I see a lot of that being carried over into the procurement space, because if they're saying women do not like to commit, then they're going, okay, I give you a contract. You're not going to deliver what I want. You're going to give me a lot of lip and a lot of argument, and I don't want that. So let me award this contract to this man over here. Hey, Mr. Man, here you go. Here's a contract for you. Just deliver. That's all you got to do. You see what I mean? So because of that concept, they carried over into the procurement space and said, well, if you can't commit to your relationship, how are you going to connect to your personal relationship or your romantic relationship? How are you going to commit to this business relationship where you're not really doing anything? We're doing it. You're just sitting there, look pretty, get the money. So
but that means, but that's a one-sided
exactly,
process, right? Because we don't know what she's putting up with, and when she's finally gotten to her enough, right, and she's walked away from it for whatever reason, for safety reasons, for many reasons,
right?
But you are on to something, because an expert, her name is Carrie Baker. She's a professional woman, and she studied a professor of women, gender, and sexuality, and she's at Smith College. She argues that Project 25 aims to revive traditional patriotic family structures, which could stigmatize single parenthood and reduce social support for single parents. So that means basically what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
We're going to put the women back in the house, in the home.
Yeah.
Therefore, men will no longer have to compete with a woman for anything,
right?
For contracts or any of that. And I think really that's what it comes down to. The very reason that you prefer women, business owners, working with women versus men is what?
Then that's when they say, well, the quality of things are going to go down. Well, you don't understand why you want to do that. Why don't you do what these other guys over here are doing?
Right.
So that's the kind of thing. That's what happens there.
But in our own practice, who are the women? Who are the clients that are most susceptible to implementing practices in their business and power system, and have female, right?
Yeah, females by far.
And by far they're very coachable.
Yeah.
They're very committed.
Pay us on time.
But they're very committed to their business. And when we look at our own parents and it's so it's an oxymoron in my opinion, right? Because my parent was a single parent. Your parent was your parent. Your mom was a single parent, right?
Well, my dad was there, but every now and again he'll disappear and come back.
Okay, so mine was basically a single parent, but she held down 2, 3 jobs, and she supported her family, and she was committed to everything that she did. I'm sure your mother was as well, and everybody else. We welcome comments online. You know, if you guys are watching this or you're watching it after after the show is ended.
Yeah, put a chat in the.
We welcome you to tell us if your parent held down a job, had her own business, the parent being mom, got you guys to school on time, got you through college, got you married, took care of the grandkids. Most women are multitaskers, and we do all of that. So to say that women, their only place of value is in the household only, and they have no contribution to the business world is a fallacy.
Yeah. Well, like I say, when folks make those types of blanket statement, you know, they're either looking for likes or subscription or something like that. They're trying to be controversial so that that video can go viral. So that's really what that's all about.
Right. So some of the potential consequences obviously is health risk. If women, you know, this whole thing with the abortion is abortion is not available for any reason. So women can be raped, and children can be raped, and young girls as young as 10. I think there has been, since this all has come about, there's been a 10-year-old that was raped and almost lost her life because they would not do an abortion. And of course, a 10-year-old is way too young to have children.
That is great.
So it would basically, some of the consequences in this space would be the reduced access to reproductive health services and contraception that could lead to higher rates of unintended pregnancies and associated health risks. So the next part is the economic impact. What does that, you know, I just don't see how you take 40%, even if we're not talking about the actual 5% of women receiving contracts, but 40% of business owners are women. So that, and I don't know how you extract 1.9 trillion dollars out of the economic of the marketplace. I don't know how you do that. Yeah. And we still remain a world power. How do we stay a world power when we don't have all of our bodies working, which means now all the women that are working are completely reliant upon men? Right. And I guess we have to give birth so that we can make sure that there's enough men to make that happen, right? Then the cultural shift. Mm-hmm. I don't know how we go back to a traditional, in today's economy, how do we go back to a traditional, the wife stays at home, and the husband is the only breadwinner, the only one making money, and you have multiple children? How do we do that in a society that our debt, what are we, $34 trillion in debt? How do we do that?
That's crazy, man. That is crazy. In order for a community to be fed and sustain itself, every able-bodied person must get involved in the production of resources and the production of products and services. So I don't get why they're saying the things they're saying. Again, I think they're doing this for shock value, but I don't see, you know, every item I look at, we've covered it today, you know. So I don't know how they expect us to buy into their philosophy and thinking that it's going to work. It's not going to work. And I think what you said is that we'll have a revolution on our hands. We will.
Well, that's basically because there's no way. First of all, look at today's society. You have to have two paychecks. In fact, you probably need four in order just to live today.
Right.
You can't. You husband and wife, when the children get of age, workable. Everybody need to be working in the household in order to survive today, just to pay rent and mortgages. So I don't know how that happens. But they're looking to go back where is a male dominated world now. And they're the everything reverts back to the man being the king of his household, the king of his community, whatever that is. But now let's take that to us as Black people. If you remove gender equality, then gender is women, but then we also will get into the ethnicity of the people as well.
That's true.
And in the Black family, and I'm not sure about the Hispanic family, that's more your space. But I know if Black women are pigeonholed and put back in a servant type environment, which would be the next step, a lot of our families would be completely disintegrated, because a lot of times it is the single Black woman that is maintaining her household. Unfortunately, it just is the way it is because of the legalities, the legal systems. The Black man being pulled out of the household for whatever the reason that they're being pulled out of, but those children have to still be born. And unless there's a Black door over here for contraceptives and abortions, and then this over here is for Caucasian women, I don't know how you do a blanket situation and everybody, Black women can have babies, or Black women and Hispanic women can have abortions, but not white women. I don't even know how all this works. It just makes no sense to me.
I think they're trying to edge back to the 1800, man. Whatever they did over the last 6 to 9 months, it's all about edging back to where it was before. Because if you notice, most of the things that they adopt right now are things that were taboo, things that you could never pass the smell test. But now they're going back and they're going, yeah, maybe we should try this. Maybe we should get rid of affirmative action. Maybe we should put a big old padlock on Roe versus Wade. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Especially in 2024. Yeah. So bottom line, we do know that it's going to be quite dangerous. First of all, voting is crucial at this point, because you're not just voting for a person. Kamala, Biden, you're really voting for democracy.
You're voting for a policy, a cause, an agenda item. You're voting.
Right. You're voting to prevent some lunatics who have some perceived notion that if we go back to 1776, that we go back to, I don't even know how they thought that was a better world, because slavery was going on. I don't know when was the good times in America. I do know from being a Black person, slavery, anything before 1863, no. Anything after 1864, no, because you had Jim Crow. So you had a grouping of people that were being controlled because of the color of their skin, and women didn't have any voice. They couldn't own property. They couldn't. I think my understanding it was just in the 70s that women had a right to have a credit card in their own name. So, so you want to revert everything back to a time when women had no power, no voice, no rights, and they were completely the property of the men, first their father, then their husband. Is that, I guess that's what they're looking for. And I don't know how you think that's a productive way of life.
Hmm. That's crazy. And that's part of the reason why I don't see people engaging in love anymore. When you get a housemate and that person's staying with you, the only reason probably is because they're paying the rent. They're paying their share of the rent, right?
Well,
not because you care about them, you really like them and you want them to, to grow and you do business with them. No, it's just because of that rent. So it's the same thing right now with the way things are. You know,
yeah,
the way the system is set up, people are not getting together now because they really like each other. They see where joining forces could provide opportunities and growth, and that's what they're going after. And that's why with these programs that they're trying to advocate here, if people start getting smarter and realize that, hey, together we're stronger. If we go after this together, maybe eventually we can defeat it, because this Project 2025 will certainly need to face a humiliating defeat.
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree. Because you can't, this country, well, first of all, we've worked hard to evolve to a
yeah,
place where we have all, you have AI. I mean, that's just a revolutionary. Before we computing, having
yeah,
computers, having the internet, having, now you have AI. We've gone to the moon. They've gone to Mars. How do you go backwards in time when you've made all these amazing accomplishments into the future? That has been the plan, is
yeah,
to come into the future. Why would we ever want to go backwards into the past? It's the past for a reason.
yeah, yeah,
It's the past for the reason. So all I can say is we need to make sure that, one, we vote and vote for the person that is the one that's representing democracy,
yeah,
which is, in for me, and I'm not telling anyone how to vote, but Kamala Harris is the one that is moving forward into the future. The other guy, not that I would be voting for him anyway, but everyone out there that's undecided, I think just this Project 25 alone should help you make your decision. Where do you want this world? What do you want this world to look like for your children, for your grandchildren, for the future of our society?
yeah,
I don't know. I would my grandchild and my child, I want them to have the same freedoms that I had. And I want them with it. When she wants children, that's fine with her. That's fine with me. If she doesn't want children, there should be no stigmatism to say that. But let me ask this question. Why are men not given the same pushback? Men make decisions not to have kids.
yeah. They figure that men can have kids, up to the day they're 90 or 100 because of their setup, how their bodies are structured
Right.
and
But
produced.
men make a choice not to be fathers.
Right.
They make a choice not to be participatory in the whole process if they choose to.
Yeah, that's true. That's
And so it's not the responsibility of having a child is not just the woman's responsibility. She bears it, but she's not the sole. A lot of the circumstances has nothing to do with her. It has to do with the person that planted the seed. So um, it's not just a responsibility of the woman. And if she chooses not to have children with a certain man, she pretty much has her reasons why she's doing that.
right, right, right.
And if a man chooses not to have children and to be participatory as a parent, that's his choice too.
Yeah. I think it is because they see more and more women going out, building their career, building a business, um, just trying to grow without the relationship and the family,
Mm-hmm.
well, then that's when you will hear some speak to the fact that, hey, what is she doing? Is she a boss babe? Is she trying to be a wife? So the wife portion of it is for the traditional relationships, how they used to be back in the
Right.
day. But women are changing now. You got more and more women are enrolling in universities. More and more women are making more than some of their male counterparts in certain states.
Right.
So there's a change. There's a change. So I see this Project 26
25.
is 25. I'm sorry. I keep saying 26. This Project 25. I see this as something that they want to impose on us. And if we go along with it, then all they have to do is to get one or two items of it implemented. That's it.
Yeah,
And
and
then,
that's why we have to push back. And as you said, if the goal is to push women back to the 1700s, that's not going to happen. Not
yeah,
today. Women contribute way too much to society, to all of a sudden to take a step back. And as we could see from the beginning of the show, we've been fighting for freedom, for civil rights and our own freedom for 255 years. I don't think we're gonna stop now.
that's
I,
true.
I
That's true.
really don't think, if you think you're going to be able to incorporate women into this nonsense, you really truly don't understand women.
Well, I'd love to see the next level, next side of women, if this thing is even close to being adopted in society. It's very close. So I know, co-host, I know you had a solution as to how to resolve this inequities between men and women, and also, if they're trying to impose these, I don't want to call it war against women, but these programs that will suppress the woman's ability to do what she. I know you had a recommendation, co-host, as to how we can solve this problem.
Well, I think women have all the power. And all she has to do is shut down the factory,
Shut down the shop.
shut down the shop, and that's it. But it would have to be a collective whole across the world, across this country anyway. And until men realize that they are the power, as my girlfriends, and I will never forget this, and I've shared this many times. When I asked my girlfriend how her and her parents, when I asked my girlfriend's parent mother how they married and stayed married for 50 years, she says in her very broken English, because they're Cuban, she says, "I am the neck that turns the head."
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So basically, she has always had all the power. So if you think that women are just going to all of a sudden wake up tomorrow and say, "I am going to be a submissive being," that ain't gonna happen. Not
You
in
know,
this life.
I would love to see this show right here, co-host. I'd like to see it go viral, because I want to see if something like this program, the Project 2025, which suppresses the women's ability to advance economically, I would like to see if this happens, if it's passed and it's implemented. What would be the reaction? Will women take to the streets? Will they form a revolution? Will they shut
Well,
down shop?
well, I think we've already seen some sampling of it. When Kamala, when they indicated that she would then start campaigning to be the president of the United States, that
Yeah.
very first night that happened, 55,000 women came together. Black women came together for a call. They almost broke Zoom.
Yeah.
Then since that time, they have had women. They've had millions of people. I think there were over. What is it? The white women have had it. calls for Kamala. Let me see. Let me get you some numbers. So women are already standing up, fighting for Kamala Harris to be the president. They needed a little jerk because obviously Biden was too old. We all felt that, but we also knew that we did not want that other guy. And so, yeah, women have been coming together. And I know I've been on I think the first call was 44,000 women, black women for Kamala. Then there were the black men call for Kamala. I think there was 55 or 56,000 black men came on a call for women, and Kamala raised over $7 million in like 24 hours. It was like crazy stuff. So I think the public is speaking out. But let me ask this question. Would you rather have, as a man, would you rather have a subservient woman that's there, you're the breadwinner, you're bringing all the money, you're making all the decisions, she's just there to cook and clean for you? Is that the woman you would want in 2024?
I don't think any valuable man, I don't want to say high value, but any valuable man will want to just have a woman to just cook and clean. That's a helper right there. You can hire a helper to do that. You want a helpmate, a partner that's going to contribute something. Maybe you're thinking about an idea, or you're thinking about a program or something like that, and you solicit her input. What do you think about this? Because sometimes having your helpmate, it's good because you're getting a female perspective to things.
Right.
If you're bringing a product to market, you're not going to just do it from the male, because even though men are the ones who create lipsticks and all those things, they still ran it by the women. You see what I'm saying? They ran it by the women when they're doing their testing, test markets, whatever. They ran it by women. So they didn't just do this by themselves as men. So it's the same thing when you're in a relationship with a woman. You want that person to be very instrumental in providing some kind of input to the journey in which you're embarking. You don't just want a maid. No,
and I would think, and women would feel the same way. You want a partner that is going to help. I always say I want a partner that enhances who I am.
Yeah.
And that we have things in common. We can create a happy environment, but where we're both participatory in that environment, right?
Because the way things are right now, you have one group rooting for and against the other. One saying, "Hey, men are the this, women are the that," but we work better together. We do to be together. You see what I'm saying? It's not like it's a guess as to whether it will work. We know it works, because just the fact that we come together to produce a child, we come together to manage a household, we come together just to make a lot of things happen. We need that. We need the yin and the yang. We need the other perspective. So I personally, I am for us being together, working together, seeing, whose strengths we can bring to the table to enhance a process, whose weaknesses that we can take and convert and make it stronger.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so you would want a helpmate that is going to help you grow your empire versus just to be the recipient.
Waiting until you build the empire and come in. You don't want that.
You don't want that. You want to say, we work to build this empire together. Yeah. It is ours together. We're going to enjoy it together. Right. We want to live a happy, fulfilled life. It's not just about work. It's about travel. It's about enjoying life, seeing things together, creating memories with one another. Yeah. You can't have that when you're treating women as subjects.
Yeah.
You can't. And so, and in this day and age, I don't know how you put that genie back in the bottle. I don't think that's possible. But what they're asking for, and I don't even, to me, it is almost if these are what do you call them? These are men that are insecure.
Yeah.
But men that are strong in who they are.
Yeah.
Talented in their skill sets. I don't think you want a woman that you can just drag around for a trophy. I think men, in my opinion, this is my opinion, I think men that are looking for trophy wives are very insecure men.
Like I say, man, I think the reason they're coming up with this is because they want to be controversial. They want this to go viral. They want it to go
I think
viral.
It's more than viral. I think they truly feel that it is a grouping of insecure men, and Trump being one of them. I think they need that to make them feel that they're powerful. That's what I think.
But you know what's amazing though is that the things they're saying about the women's program and the women's approaches to their contribution to society, they're lumping that in with the minorities too. So whatever programs they have set for entrepreneurship and minority, they're trying to cut that, slash that too, just like they're trying to slash rights and the opportunities for women. So that's why we got to stick together. We can't let them win in one aspect or another, because if they win in one, guess what? That's going to spread to the other.
Right.
Now, we've seen this happen in 1920, Black Wall Street. They came in and they bombed those buildings and those towns and killed people, and then it starts spreading. Other states start doing the same thing. So no, we can't have that again.
No, we cannot have that. So that basically, that's the conclusion that Gilbert and our summary is: we cannot. We are moving our country. Yes, our country has problems, but I don't think they're not. I think they're definitely fixable. Right. But we have to have people that are in powerful positions, in political positions, that are serving the people and that are here for democracy. And then we as a people have to make them accountable. If we're not happy with what's going on, we cannot keep our mouths shut. We have to stand up. We have to protest. But as Gilbert just said, we have to do it together. Yeah. We have to, every man, woman, minority, we have to fight for the democracy together. Because Project 25, and this would be in the event that Donald Trump was reelected as president. We already know what that looks like. He is not. There is no surprises. He has no new tricks in his bag. He is the same person he was in 2016. However, now he's more vengeful. So we want to make sure we're voting the person in that's going to preserve democracy for us, all of us, to make sure that this is a better world. Project 25 aims to revolutionize how we all live. It would impact it. To remove women's rights would impact men more than they can ever even imagine at this place in time. Yeah, it really would.
And also, for those of you who are just tuning in and you're just joining the show, this is the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We're on every Friday from 3 to 4:30. And today's topic on the Business Zone, we're talking about Project 2025, which is an initiative that's being put forward by one of the political parties. We won't say their names, but the other side, right? And their thing is that what my co-host just said, they're trying to revolutionize the lives of folks, primarily women and minorities, to try to see if they can provide surveillance to surveil what we do, control our activities, the things that we do, provide restrictions on what we do and how we do it. they treat women like test subjects. They treat minorities like test subjects as well, sacrificing our rights. And they also try to hinder our safety as well. I noticed our co-host, and this is kind of a little sidetrack thing here. I
Mm-hmm.
notice more and more now, I'm seeing where cops are pulling over people on the freeway, primarily us, on the freeway, and telling us, hey, I need this and I need that, when it's not a part of our rights, because we've got the right to say, hey, under the Fourth Amendment, I'm not going to allow you to search my car. But then they're demanding as if they have the right to search your car, even though you've done nothing. You've committed no crimes. And people who don't know those rights will allow them to get in there. And then that's when they do whatever they want to do. They plant whatever evidence they want. You know, they're talking to you. You've got a right to say, hey, I'm invoking my Fifth Amendment rights. You don't have to answer them. You don't have to say anything. Of course, they'll try to take evasive action. Oh, well, you're not answering. Well, we're going to have to arrest you until you're ready to talk, But that's part of this Project 2025.
It is. I was just going to say, if you're taking away rights from women, you're also going to take rights from from minority people.
Yes.
That's even another show. What implications does it have for us as minority people in this country? Because Project 25, there are no Black people that wrote this. There are no brown people that wrote this. There are no Asian people that wrote this. This was written by conservative white men.
There's no women who wrote
it. No women that wrote it. So conservative white men who want this utopia, this I guess it's not even utopia, it's a dystopian world that they're the kings of the castle. Right. And so we haven't even talked about what that looks like for us. I kind of have a great idea what this looks like for us, because we lived this. Our ancestors have lived a world where it was completely controlled by old white men.
Yeah.
Who owned us and who we were the subjects of theirs, and they could tell us who and what and where we needed to be. And once we were emancipated and we got freedom, then they enacted Jim Crow laws, and then they could arrest us and put us back in that subservient role. So I already know what that looks like.
Yeah.
That's another part of Project 25. But we're gonna close with this. We're going to ask you to put in our comments. We stream live on Facebook. We're streaming live on YouTube. We're streaming live on LinkedIn. We're going to ask you, what do you think about Project 25? And what do you think are going to be the impacts on women's rights? So we ask you to share those comments. And we also ask you to check out other videos that we have on women empowerment and safety. Gilbert and I have always been, I am a woman, so I'm definitely the cheerleading squad for women. But Gilbert also, if you go back to look at a number of our videos on YouTube, you'll see we've had numerous of shows on the empowerment of women in business. Yes. This is our philosophy. We believe that women are very successful in the business world, and we have our reasons why we work with them. But we want to know, what are your reasons for it? And then next, we want to make sure, as a call to action, that you guys understand that we are voting for democracy, not just because voting is the thing you're supposed to do. This election is probably the most important election you will vote in for the rest of your lives. This is an election that decides whether or not we're free. You're fighting for your freedom.
That is true. And making a wrong decision could truly impact whether you move forward 3 steps or you move back 3 steps, because the whole philosophy behind this project 2025 is to roll things back to the 1800s. Roll things back. And just think about it. You may not have been there in the 1800s, but just think about what your foreparents went through during the 1800s and see if this is the kind of life you'd like to live, you know, with next few years, starting in 2025. You know, you want to think about that. You want to have freedom to go and do whatever you want. Do you want to have freedom to bid on a contract if you want, and have the ability to win? And if you see some shady things going on, then you can file an appeal and you can litigate it and win. You know, those are things you want to think about. Do you want the ability to do those things? You know, put it in our comments. You know, let us know. I mean, who knows? Maybe there's some people out there who would love to go back to the 1800s. You know, hey, man, the horse and buggy days is probably a good thing. Probably a good thing. You never know. So if you want to go back to that time, put it in our comment, in our chat. Let us know so we can have a conversation. You know, let's see if we can talk about, hey, having rubber tires versus having steel rims on your buggy. You know, which is better? You didn't have to put fuel in your buggy. You have to put fuel now. So let's discuss that.
Right. And if you're really not sure what a country looks like that doesn't favor their women, I'm going to give you a list of those countries and that are the worst countries for women. Afghanistan, they have Sharia law there. Syria, Yemen, Pakistan, Iraq, South Sudan, Chad, the DR Congo, Sudan, and Sierra Leone. Women have no rights in those countries.
How about Rhodesia? Isn't Rhodesia one of those countries that they just oppress the women? Isn't that the one where they when the girls were 13 they
they were all that was one of the ones. A lot of the Mali, there are many laws that discriminate against women rights. Qatar, women have few freedoms. They have to get permission from their male guardians for everything: marriage, studying abroad, working in government jobs, traveling abroad. Egypt, my daughter is there, and again, they govern marriage, they govern divorce, they govern custody, inheritance. You have to ask. The men are the patriarchal leaders of those countries.
Permission.
You have to have permission. Women in Saudi Arabia, Iran, women can't drive. Women can't go out the house without being completely covered from head to toe.
Let's talk about the women can't drive for a second, man. Because I know I personally do not want to drive around my lady all the time. You know, I want her to have her own license. Because when she wants to go hang out with her friends, I don't want to take her over there. I want her to have her own license so she can go hang with her friends, do whatever she wants. She got to go do a doctor's appointment, got to go shopping. You know, right now, when your lady say, "Hey, let's go shopping," you're cringe. You go, But can you imagine driving her to go shopping? You got to sit there and wait.
You got to wait because you won't allow her. Not just you, the whole entire country will not allow you to have a woman that can be independent enough to take herself from point A to B.
I want her to have her license. I want her to have her own license.
Or how about having her just at home all the time?
Oh, no. You would go crazy. Anyone who stays at home forever. Man, look at 2020. When we had COVID, we had to stay inside for a whole year. Man, a lot of us went stir crazy, man. So I cannot imagine a woman having to stay home.
Right. I mean, just the mere thought of a woman not having rights means you give up some of your rights too.
Yeah, because if she doesn't have rights, guess what? You're gonna have to step in and do a lot of the things that I don't want to do those things.
Right. So you got to step in because she is not allowed to do certain things.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. So realistically, I mean, I'm a real realistic human being. It makes no sense to me. Again, I have to come back to, and I'm going to have to leave everybody with this one. How do you extract $1.9 trillion out of the business world, out of the marketplace, out of the economy?
That's crazy.
And think we can be able to be progressive?
Yeah, that's
How?
crazy. That is crazy, man.
How? You can't. And that's just business women. What if we took all of the population of women out of the workforce, period?
Yeah. See, that's a good way of looking at it, co-host, that from the money standpoint, because if you're removing or suppressing the ability of women to function and do what they need to do, that's in essence what you're doing. You're removing 1.3 trillion, right?
Yeah.
Out of the economy and out of the marketplace. That's ridiculous. So they're gonna have to find some way to get it back. How are they gonna get it back?
Right. How do you do that? One, you've pulled out. So let's see how many women actually, what is the population of women in the United States?
I think it's probably about 155 million women. I think.
Okay,
so.
Working. Is that what it is? Working women age, I guess, right?
Yeah.
How many women population working women in the U.S.? Let's see what that is, because that's what the only thing that makes sense to me is numbers.
Yeah.
So while all of this is in theory, my numbers say, how do you do that? So
168.6 million women.
Okay.
168. Look at that. See that? And that's in 2022. So we're in 2024 right now. So can you imagine? That is crazy.
Right. So based upon the labor statistics, 47% of the U.S. workforce with 74.6 million women in the civilian labor force. How do you pull those women out of the labor force and put them in homes? Yeah,
that makes no sense, man. There's no way that could happen.
And so if that's 47%, so what is that? 53% are men, and men are supposed to be able to generate the revenue and the tax base.
Yeah, that's not
that women put in this, because if they're working, they're paying taxes. Yeah. So that means that 53% of men have to produce the same amount that the 47% of women produce in taxes to run a country.
Trust me, I've been overworked and overtaxed right now. I don't want to do another thing.
Realistically thinking, it's not even possible, is it?
No, it's not. It's not at all, man. This is crazy.
Because we're still not looking at the population that live below poverty.
Right.
So the women that are working versus the men that are not working and that live in poverty as well and not as educated. Women happen to be one of the most educated population. I know in the Black community, Black women are kind of exceed the population of educated education.
Yeah.
So when you take all of those factors in place, and I would imagine the same thing, because white women, they were able to get opportunities based upon affirmative action. They don't think that they did, but they did. They got more from affirmative action than we did. They probably have gotten more from DEI than we did as well.
Oh, for sure.
So you pull all of those women, and that's between the ages of 25 and let's say 25 and 45 or 50, you pull them out of the workplace, then what happens to the economy?
Man, that would be a revolution, man. I would love to see something like that, though. I'd like to see something like that and just see what would happen, man, because I'm telling you, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be a pleasant thing at all.
Well, we almost kind of saw it in 2020. Just think about with the pandemic.
Yes.
Everyone.
We were very close.
Right. Everyone let's say there were no funds, that the government did not implement any funds into the workplace. Yeah. Let's say they pulled all the women out. Okay, women, you stay at home. Men, you're going to be the only ones out there. We would have died on the vine in 2020 to 2022. We would not have been able to survive.
Right.
At all.
That's crazy.
Numbers don't lie.
Right. That's right.
Numbers don't lie. So you cannot take the 47% of women, pull the revenue that they generate and the tax base that they create in this country, especially when the wealthy are not paying taxes. You can't pull them out of you can't X them out of the economy and think that your country is going to be a world power. It is really not going to be a world power.
But see, an example of this is, you remember in 2020 when everyone had to stay home and, women, all of us, we left the workforce, we went home. So many employers thought that, okay, once we resume this, the women will come back to work. They'll do whatever they were doing before, but they got a sad mistake. They got a shock because women weren't going back to work. Women say, hey, I'm not going back to work. I'd rather stay home with my family, or I'd rather start my own business. And that's what happened. That's what happened. I believe they said, 60% of the workforce, the women in the workforce, did not return to work.
No, that's right. But they started their own business, which
started their own business, or stayed home with their family.
Right.
And that right there, it gave a lot of employers like a wake-up call, because then they start putting out these initiatives where they're saying, all right, we'll pay you a bonus to return to work. We'll pay you your wage plus a bonus. And women were still saying, you didn't respect me before. I know you're not going to respect me again. So I'm not going.
And here's the interesting thing. That's the one thing, I guess, that that we here in America, we have very short-term memory.
Yeah.
Because that right there, you don't even have to go far back. That's only through 2 years ago, 4 years ago. Yeah. What, you forgot that?
Yeah,
How did you forget that?
So that's why I'm saying this bogus initiative here for 2020, 2025.
Gilbert calls it the bogus initiative.
That's not gonna work, man. It's never gonna work.
I don't think they put numbers to it. I think there's just in theory, and I think they just threw stuff up on the board to see if it stuck. Everything that every disgruntled or white man who felt insecure with life threw it up on the board. So that's what we're putting in this initiative, and this is what we're enacting.
I think they were drunk when they came up.
Yeah, they are. It's called drunk with power, Gilbert. Intoxicated with power. But
so they thought it's gonna work. So they're going, okay, let's just throw this out there and see what happens. We'll just stay in the back, and then if our boy wins, then we'll just have it implemented. No, it's not gonna happen.
And here's another part, and this is another show. They also want to eliminate all minorities in this country, and it just be white people in this country.
Yeah.
So again, let's go back to the economy. Yeah. How would that work?
How would that work? That is crazy, man. That is crazy. All I have to say, folks, if that's what you're trying to do, remember who created the traffic light. Remember who created the air conditioner. Remember all of those things, the cable transmission device there.
The computer. I say this: if you asking us to leave, we taking all our modern our modern conveniences with us. All our benches are going with us, and we'll leave you with whatever Elon Musk has created.
Just remember that, guys. So you wanna check yourselves, okay?
Right. So we encourage all of you to go over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We also encourage you to put in your comments. what are your thoughts on Project 25, and how do you think it's going to impact? Today's show is about women's rights, but also how do you think it's going to impact our lives into its totality? Whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, whether you're a minority, black, brown, Asian, how our children, your parents, healthcare in America. How do you think it's going to affect your lives? And then, what would be your call to action? What would you? How do you see our lives here in America? So please, we encourage your comments, your opinions. Put that in the chat. Let's get a conversation going on. Make sure you're sharing and doing your own due diligence, doing your own research, like we have done on how it affect your family, and then sit down with your family and have these conversations. I think it's
And
very important.
especially if they have a different perspective. We would love to hear their other perspective, because this is our perspective, guys. So who knows? You may have a totally different perspective, which makes sense, and we want to hear it. We really want to hear your perspective, because yeah.
We do. And we want you to do your own research. We want you to come up, challenge us if that's necessary. Yeah. But what would be your opinion as men that are out there listening? Would you prefer to have a stay-at-home trophy wife, or would you prefer to have a woman that's helping you build your empire and she has an input in it, and you guys are this powerful team or this powerful couple that are leading role models for your children? Just think about that. But those are the kind of conversations we as Americans need to have, because this is our country, and the way we want to live in our country, the way we want our children to be raised in this country, it's up to us to make those distinctions for ourselves. We don't need someone to tell us what we need to be doing. We need to go after it ourselves.
I can't wait for your comments, guys. Please reach out. I put in the chat, I put our contact information, I put my co-host's contact email, and I put my contact email, gilbert@thebuchanangroup.net. And then we got Crystal, we got C Mitchell 544@gmail.com. So go ahead, shoot her a message, and shoot me a message and say, hey, you guys are totally wrong. Here is how Project 25 should be.
Right. Exactly.
And we can discuss it. We can bring you on the air, and we can have a discussion here, a live discussion, guys. Okay.
Exactly. So hit that subscribe button, guys, right here. There's a QR code, or you can go over to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, and let us know that you enjoyed the show. You didn't enjoy the show. You have any kind of comments on the show, we'd love to hear from you. But we'd love for you to go over and subscribe to our YouTube channel, so that you get notifications. You are tuned into the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, and we are streaming live every Friday afternoon at 3:00. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Facebook, and we are here. We're also coaches in the city of Los Angeles. So if you are looking for some assistance on helping you grow your business, set your business up, get contracts, we are the team that make that happen. So with that, Gilbert, I think we've done this conversation
we beat it to death.
We beat it to death. So we will see you guys all next week. We have another show. I think we're talking about women again, but in a different capacity. We're going to be talking about the contributions that they make to this business world.
And if you guys want to share our show or link, anything like that, share it with another entrepreneur or a friend or family of yours. Say, hey, check out these two guys. What are they talking about? I mean, I didn't agree with them. Or, you know what? I agree with these guys. I really like what they're saying. Share the word. Spread the word, guys. We're here to help entrepreneurs. We're here to help you guys get your business in order, get your back office in order, get your financials in order, your balance sheet, your profit and loss, statement of cash flow. Get those things together so you can be loan ready or funding ready. And you can be business ready or contract ready with all the key documents we have. Your capability statement, your statement of qualifications, going out to get government contracts, becoming certified. That's what we do here on the Business Zone, guys. So if you've never heard this show before, this is your first time, shame on you. Go ahead. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and
shame on you.
Shame on you.
There you go, Gilbert. Just shame on you. So next week our show is Women Will Change the World in 2025. Women Rule the World. That's the conversation we're going to be having. Beyonce, Women Rules the World, and how much they bring contribution to the world. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. Please come back. Gilbert, I don't know if you knew, but I posted it on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook panel. We have reached a 35,000 view milestone.
Really now? I'm going to have to go check that out.
Yeah, go check that out. 35,000 views.
See, guys, my co-host is so phenomenal. We're getting 35,000 views.
Right. So may not in this podcasting world, it's a milestone for us. Now we need you to go over and hit that subscribe button so we can get to our subscribers. But we're working hard on making that happen. So we're going to close out the show and thank you guys for joining us today. And we look forward to you coming back and coming next week. If you want to be a guest on the show, just reach out to us and let us know. We can send you the sign up information, and we'd love to have a sit down with you and just see what you're doing and how you're growing your business. All righty.
So we'll see you next week.
As a small biz pro, so we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Man, this was a great show, co-host. I love this.